It is a wonderful Thursday evening, and it is, well, less than 36 hours now, I guess. No, a little bit more than that away from the national championship game. Sorry, time has been what it is as we get toward the Christmas season. So I'm getting ready, and I have already been asked. One of my daughters was asking me, "What are we going to do on Saturday? We have anything set up for Saturday?" I said, "I can tell you what I'm going to be doing from 11 o'clock Central Time for about 3 hours. So if you can work around that for a while, we can do whatever you want to and spending time with the kids and the grandkids. However, it is Championship Saturday that we are heading toward in just a little bit. I'm Joey McWilliams here on Midwest Sportsnet. I'm glad that you have stopped by tonight. And there've been a lot of buttons to push tonight to make sure that we're on the air and we're live. And I hope that I'm not fuzzy. So that's been a challenge of late too. We are working on some new equipment, hopefully by the first of the year, to make the broadcast look a little bit better. So we're trying to get that to you. Anyway, welcome to Midwest Sportsnet. We're going to talk some NAIA football tonight, and I appreciate you all being along for the ride. Shout out to Michael Brooks, who is looking forward to the game as well. And thanks. Okay, if we're looking good, that's good. Been some challenges, and again, trying to push all the right buttons to get everything on the air tonight, but it is what it is. Kids, grandkids, I've seen them all today, and it's just it's a good day. So let's talk football now. And again, assuming I have a voice for that as well. It has come to this, and we are looking at the first national championship game between two teams who come in undefeated since 2021. The last time that two undefeated teams played for the title was a game involving Grandview. How about that? Grandview came up on the short end of that. Morningside 38, Grandview 28. But I know that we're looking forward to something else today. In this one, these two teams come in. Just seriously, when you look at them, it's tough to find flaws. It really is. And we're not going to be looking for flaws in these two teams. I want to talk about the positives because that's really what we do here on the channel is talk about the positives. It's tough to find flaws, though. You're talking about two offenses that can score especially when we need to or when they need to, as was the case with Keiser on Saturday. You're talking about two defenses that have just dominated all season long, which is a big part of Grandview's game anyway. Let's go ahead and let's start with the number 2 team in the country, number 2 ranked, not rated team in the country. And you know what? Today, we'll say the number 2 seed just because. Why not? It's a happy day, and it's getting close to Christmas time, so we'll talk about that. Grandview giving up just 8.5 points per game. That's tops in the NAI. Giving up just 205.5 yards per game. Also tops in the NAI. They have 37 sacks, which is in the top 10, and have given up only 8 sacks on the season. It's an incredible defense, but you have to talk about an offensive line that's been getting it done as well. Scoring, Grandview has scored 41 touchdowns on the ground, given up only 6 rushing touchdowns. They've scored 23 touchdowns through the air, given up only 8 passing touchdowns. So 67 touchdowns scored rushing and passing for Grandview, given up only 14 rushing and passing for Grandview. And you look at some of the individual numbers, Jackson Waring, and I've been talking about Jackson Waring since the outset of the season. It was a privilege to get to visit with him on the channel before the season started, somewhere in the middle of the summer. And he was talking about the season, getting to talk about his faith as well. 171 completions of 283 passes thrown, 2,382 passing yards, 60.4% completion percentage on the year. An incredible number. 21 passing touchdowns to just 3 interceptions. Oh, and he's also carried in 13 rushing touchdowns as well. Big time play from Jackson Waring. He's had help in the backfield from Dalton Van Pelt, who has 12 rushing touchdowns on the year, 709 rushing yards on the season. And then Isaiah Toki has been stepping up, has continued to step up. Isaiah Toki with 35 receptions, 686 receiving yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. But it's the defense that we normally talk about when we talk about Grandview. And I was mentioning when I had a chance to visit, excuse me, with Coach Woodley. Was thinking about three J's there, and the All-Americans on this defensive squad: Jackson Filer, John Argo, and Davier Jones. They have just been able to really take care of business. Argo getting a lot of attention conference-wise, nationally as well. 85 tackles on the season, 11 and a half tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and he's broken up 6 passes as well from the linebacker position. Grandview comes in undefeated. It's been a solid schedule. It has been an undefeated record for Coach Woodley now in his entire tenure as the head football coach at Grandview. 71-5. 71-5. That's an incredible record. It almost sounds made up. Keiser, and we talk about them, scramble eggs. Well, glad that you're on the show tonight, too. Telling Michael he needs to bring a sweatshirt. Looks like it's going to be a little bit chilly up there. Keiser is giving up 20.4 points per game. They have scored 33 rushing touchdowns and given up only 14. They have scored 30 passing touchdowns and given up only 12. That is 63 that they've scored rushing and passing, given up only 26 rushing and passing. Oh, and because, it's the last week of the season, I definitely need to get this one up there. That Burnett kid's a beast. That's what I've heard. Anyway, at least on this channel. Let's talk about him. Let's go ahead and go right into individual numbers. Andrew Burnett, 205 carries, 1,260 yards rushing on the season, 17 rushing touchdowns. He's had at least one rushing touchdown in 11 of the 12 games that Keiser's played, and that includes the last 11 consecutive games. Finished the season with at least 100 yards per game in 7 of the last 8 games of the regular season. 105 rushing yards per game, 6.1 yards per carry. That's big time. And he has not in the backfield by himself because he has someone who has been there, done that, made it through the season, saw his team win a national championship, and is looking forward to trying to have that opportunity himself, and Chase Spencer, the quarterback. 205 completions, 292 attempts on the year, 2,841 passing yards for Spencer, 29 passing touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. And I wanted to put those two numbers together. Consider this for just a moment. Between these two quarterbacks, you're looking at 50 passing touchdowns to just 8 interceptions. That the ratio there is something that you're not going to see very often. So you're looking at that. Then between DeAndre Golden, who came alive in last week's win, the rally, the come from behind victory for Keiser to get them in the championship game, along with Rufino Gates and Rico Portia, that's a receiving core that is not to be trifled, if you will, with. And Byron May leading the way for the Keiser defense. 10 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks on the year, 2 forced fumbles, 1 recovery, and a blocked kick as well. Yeah, that Burnett kid definitely is a fantastic running back. Shout out to Dave. Dave, good to see your name come up here as well. It should be a good game. We're looking forward to that. We're not going to spend a lot of time tonight. I know that some of you all have to drive, so I definitely want to throw this out there. Let's look at some of the prop bets really quickly as we talk about these things. I think part of the reason I'm not going to talk too long tonight is because there's not much of a voice, so bear with me on that. But let's look at this really quickly. Some of these prop bets. If you were, and I know I'm not a betting man very often. If and I were, and Vegas were to allow bets on these games, what do you think about this? The over-under for the game, I would put it 54.5 points. And I'm going to take the under on this one. What would you all say about that? These are two incredibly tough defenses, and I think it's going to be a challenge to get outside of the 20s. As a matter of fact, I really see one team just barely making it out of the 20s and one team barely making it out of the teens. It could be tight. Let me know what you guys think about some of these, if these were for real prop bets. I've got the over-under at 54.5 points, and if things hold true to where they are anyway, Grandview gives up 8.5 points a game Keiser gives up 20.5 points a game. You're looking at just 29 points combined that these two teams give up. So over under on that one, what would you take? Move on along. Who scores first in this game? And is it really that important? We have seen where each team has been able to score first in a playoff game, and each team has fallen behind in a playoff game and found ways to come back. The closest game that each of these two teams played over the course of the entire season actually came in the playoffs. Grandview with an incredibly tough matchup against Friends in the second round matchup, its first game of the playoffs this year, 21-17, but was down 17-7 at the half and found a way in the second half to come back. Is it that important as to who scores first? And if that is the case, which team is going to score first in this one in Durham? Keiser, its closest game of the season was without question last Saturday's game against Benedictine. Falling behind in the fourth quarter by 17 points, not once but twice. Coming back in that one, 28 points in the fourth quarter, an incredible second half rally, fourth quarter rally, 21 of those 28 points coming in the final 7 minutes of the game. Love to hear what you all think about that. Then two individual prop bets. How about that beast? I keep hearing that Andrew Burnett's a beast, and I know that he is. This would be a key stat, I think, for Keiser on offense. How much is Andrew Burnett going to get the ball, and how much ground is he going to be able to cover once he does get the ball? He's been able to get 100 yards rushing. Again, we mentioned 7 of the last 8 games prior to these last 2. And he's been held in check in those last 2 games. And I wonder if Benedictine didn't give Grandview a little bit of a blueprint of what it might take to try to take down this Keiser team, to hold Keiser in check on the ground. Now, granted, Chase Spencer obviously led the team back in the fourth quarter, and with just some fantastic passing, receivers did a fantastic job bringing the ball in. Catches that they weren't making earlier in the contest, they just had glue on their fingertips in that fourth quarter. This, I think, is one of those bellwether stats. What's Andrew Burnett going to do on the ground? Is he going to be held in check again, or is he going to find a way to be able to get those 100 yards or more and make it a little bit easier for Shea Spencer in the backfield? And Michael says going over 100. I think that if that is the case, Michael, it does work to Keiser's benefit. I don't think there's any question about that. Let's look at an offensive number then for Grandview. Jackson Waring. Is he going to throw the ball more or less than 24 times? Over the course of the season, and I picked that number because it seemed to be right there in the middle. And there were 6 of the 13 games in which he threw more than 24 times, and there were 7 games in which he had 24 attempts or less. It became more challenging in those games in which he had to throw the ball a little bit more. And I think it bodes well for Grandview if Jackson Waring is right around that 20 to 24 mark. If he doesn't have to throw the ball all game long, if he's not in a position that he has to throw the ball to catch up, it works better for Grandview if things are going well and it's a balanced attack over the course of the day. Dalton Pelt and Moore, even Waring himself carrying the ball. And he's one of those players too. I mean, that's just not unlike where Andrew Burnett is. He's a beast. He is something like that on the field, and he's tough to stop too. It would benefit Grandview, I believe, if Waring is at that 20 to 24 mark in attempts. So somewhere around in there. Would love to hear what you guys think about that. Those are our prop bets on the day. Before we get into the my pick, which doesn't amount to anything, by the way, but you know what? We've done okay over the course of the season, and we have been above 500 with the picks in the Discord group online. At least Midwest Sports Net's been above 500, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Doesn't mean anything, but it's worth a shot, to be able, those bragging rights are kind of nice every now and again. Off the field news as we go into this really quickly. We'll take a break right before the pick. The Frontier Conference has released its schedule for 2025. It's already been divided into West and East, as many of us suspected it would be. Each division will get an automatic bid, as many of us suspected that would be the case. So check that out online. The Frontier Conference releasing its schedule for 2025. Also, and this is if you're interested in NAIA football and some former coaches and some possible future teams, we've been able to interview the coach of the John Melvin Millers the last couple of seasons here. And John Melvin was looking to become an NAIA program, but the games weren't countable just yet. There is also a John Melvin Christian College. Of course, John Melvin University is in Crowley, Louisiana. There's a John Melvin Christian College in Pace, Florida, up in the Panhandle. They've hired a new coach. They're starting a football program. John Melvin University, I believe, is letting its football program go. And John Melvin Christian College is starting a football program, and they are sister schools. And they've hired, according to Twitter, they have hired Drew Maddox, the former head football coach at Louisiana Christian, who left Louisiana Christian prior to this season to go to Southeast Missouri State Division I program and work with, I believe, the defensive line there. He's going back to Florida, and this is not just on John Melvin's Twitter account. It is actually on Coach Maddox's Twitter account as well. So we're taking this from social media to get it in there. But that's an interesting hire at a new football program there. So keep that in mind, something to watch. All right. Michael, really quickly, after he says that Burnett's going to get more than 100 yards on the ground, he says Keiser's defense, why didn't that stay up there? There we go. Keiser's defense will hold wearing tighter than what people may think. All right. No doubt there. I think that it should be a good afternoon on all counts. So let's go down to the end here. And I know some of you all are driving. Some of you all have a lot to do tonight. And I think that the voice is just about to go. That's even with a cough drop. So we'll throw out my 2 cents. I've picked against Grandview 2 out of 3 times in this postseason. Obviously, I was wrong both times when I picked against Grandview. I've picked Keiser all 3 times this season, and I was right to pick Keiser all 3 times this season. I have picked Keiser neither time prior in the national championship game. In 2022, I picked Northwestern. In 2023, I wanted to pick Keiser, but I caved at the last moment and picked Northwestern. That was my fault. Another statistic here, and this is one that interests me. Grandview and Morningside have played 3 times prior. All 3 times have been in the playoffs. And all 3 times, the winner of the Grandview Morningside game has gone on to win the national championship. Of course, one of them was a national championship game, but that's the way it's played out. I look at these two, and I think that this one is as close as I can think of in where I am and seeing the 2 teams out there. I know that my pick doesn't matter, but I do think it's going to be less than 50 points on the board. I do think it's going to be less than that 54 and a half. I'm taking the under on that. And let me put this up here really quickly. No pressure here at all from Michael. Corey picked Keiser. Yes, I do know that Corey picked Keiser. I was watching. I came back and watched the replay. Didn't get to watch him live on Monday night, but came back and watched the replay. I think the final score, my pick on this one, final score of 31-21, and I'm picking Grandview. So, Michael, I hope that you still like me and know that my pick does not determine the outcome of this game. Corey picked Keiser. I did go ahead and pick Grandview on this one. Just the defense. Last year, Grandview's defense, I think, even let them down a little bit. That game against College of Idaho was, I think it opened up a lot of eyes for Grandview. I think they made some adjustments. Defense has always been a big deal. And I just think that the Grandview defense has held itself in check and held opponents in check a lot tighter this year. I think it's going to be the toughest defense that Keiser goes up against. Grandview, again, is facing, for the fourth consecutive week, a radically different opponent. From Friends to Northwestern to Morningside and now to Keiser. And Keiser, I believe, is the strongest on all sides of the ball, where, Friends had such a dominant running game. Morningside has such a dominant passing game. And Northwestern on defense, we didn't see the same offense from Northwestern this year. I think that's going to change in 2025. But Keiser is dominant on all sides of the ball. And Grandview's going to, just like it has the last 3 weeks, have to have some kind of serious game plan to shut Keiser down. But they've done it for 3 straight weeks. They've answered the call. I picked against them twice. Now with today, I'm going to have picked for them twice. So I'm picking Grandview in this one. And thank you. Thank you, Michael. I'm going to put this one up there. I appreciate that. Hey, love you too, man. Appreciate that a whole lot, but it needed to go up there. So there we go. Predictions are just that. Saturday's going to prove it. I don't know that the entire reputation of the channel is on that pick because, man, this is going to be a tight game. But I think it should be a lot of fun. So let's wrap up while I still have a voice in this one. And I want to remind you all of a couple things. Number one, the channel is continuing to grow. We're headed toward another milestone. We sure would like to get that 2,000 subscriber mark. If you've already subscribed, thank you very much. Tell somebody else. Let a friend know. It's free. And I think it would help the channel grow. And again, free on your part, free on your friend's part. It helps the channel grow. The other thing is we still will have another show on Sunday night regarding NAIA football. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the top 5 performances. Would love for you to be in the chat on that one as well and talk about what you saw and the cool things from the game on Saturday. If you don't know, you can watch the game with the Urban Edge Network app, and I have already made sure that is on Roku at my house. And I'm going to be watching it on the fairly big screen TV upstairs. So I get the room to myself to watch that one. I think Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet may come up for a while, so I'll get that one on my own. Don't forget about that. Keep that in mind. But beyond the NAIA football season, this channel exists also to cover small college sports and more throughout the Midwest and beyond. The niche of this channel is mainly NAIA and Division II. So we have a lot more for the coming months after the calendar changes. Would love to have you still be a part of the broadcast here. Come online. We'll talk about a lot of cool things in the spring. And then we will also get right back into NAIA football. We'll have a few things in the spring, but also definitely as the month of May rolls around and we get through. The goal last year was to try to get every single NAIA coach interviewed. Didn't happen. Obviously, there were some health issues and just a couple things that kept that from happening. That's the goal for 2025. We're going to try to get them all. And there are 97 or 98 teams as of now that will be in NAIA football in 2025. Should be a lot of fun. Okay, let me put this one out there. Scram says definitely 100 plus for Burnett. I don't know if he has any inside information there, so I'd love to find out, see if that's the case. Michael, his grandson, which, by the way, let me put that up there, Wyatt Brooks, Michael's grandson, starting for the 54th time this Saturday and final game as a senior. Shout out to Wyatt Brooks, and we've definitely given shout outs to Wyatt before and to some other folks whose family frequent this channel. So shout out to Wyatt on that. Props to you for getting to be a part of that team. And man, what a run it has been on, and hoping to get itself one more national championship. Why not for Coach Russ, who has yet to lose a game as the head football coach at Keiser University. So we wrap up tonight here from Midwest Sportsnet. Let me see. Yeah, you can tell. Need to get all that off there. Hey, listen, thank you for watching tonight. Again, that's my pick, and we'll find out. Saturday will prove itself. Should be a lot of fun. Don't forget to watch the game. 12 o'clock Eastern time, 11 o'clock Central. That's where we are right here. We'll be watching it at 11 o'clock, and that's how I'm spending my Saturday morning and into the afternoon. We'll talk some more on Sunday for sure, and who knows what else we're going to talk about between then. Dave, congratulations on that to Michael. Yeah, we need to do that. Enjoy the game. Shout out to Dave. And even though they're not playing, a real quick roll stings because we haven't had that in this show. But this one's all about Keiser and Grandview. So final pick here for Midwest Sportsnet tonight, 31-21. We're taking the Vikings in this one. All right. God bless you all. Thank you very much for watching. I know I'll see you again before Christmas, but in the meantime, have a safe trip if you're traveling. Take care of yourself. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the time with family. Merry Christmas to everyone. We'll talk again for sure on Sunday. And let me see. There we go. God bless you.